Hey everyone, I'm Mike from theparkprodigy.com, and on today's video we're going to break down the best tips and tricks for the EPCOT Food and Wine Festival. EPCOT has quickly become one of the most popular Disney theme parks, and not just because of the rides. Guests love visiting this park because of the amazing festivals that pretty much are going on throughout the entire year at this point. There's only a couple weeks throughout the year that they're not doing a festival at this point in time, but this one in particular is extremely popular, and I'm guessing it has something to do with what's going on in the name, and that is food and wine, and who doesn't love that? So if you are in the process of planning a Disney World trip and you've never been to the Food and Wine Festival before, or if you have been but you're planning a trip back and you just need a little additional help, just be sure to stick around till the end of this video. As always, I'm very excited, so let's go get started. Thank you all again so much for checking out this video. Like I said, we are about to break down the best tips and tricks for visiting the EPCOT Food and Wine Festival. And we're just going to start with the basics very quickly. For guests who might not know, you can taste your way around World Showcase at EPCOT and sample food and drinks from over 30 unique food booths, because during this festival, the park is transformed into a food lover's paradise. And just like it sounds, this event is really cool. If you love to eat and drink, you're going to love this event. And it's also really important for me to note that it doesn't have to be, alcoholic drinks. There's a lot of non-alcoholic, just different type of mocktails and different type of drinks on these menus that are also very cool. Now, the dates for the Food and Wine Festival as of 2023 for this year are going to be July 27th through November 18th of 2023. However, we're making this video really for anyone who's visiting anytime in the future. And as a general rule of thumb, those will typically be the dates. So sometimes Disney will start it a little bit earlier. Sometimes they'll end it a couple days later. But for the most part, it's going to be running from around the end of July through middle of November. Okay, so now that we got that out of the way, let's jump in and let's start with those tips and tricks. And we're going to start with number one, and that is pick the right time based on your personal preference. Now, of course, for the most part, whenever anyone starts planning a Disney World trip, everyone's always trying to figure out, hey, how can I avoid the crowds, right? So if that is, your main priority, and if you are trying to avoid the crowds at the EPCOT Food and Wine Festival, you're going to want to, stay away from the first week, because typically that's when all the Disney influencers come in and the parks will get a little busy. For the most part, though, we'll see the lowest crowds pretty much the entire month of August, and then, of course, really the entire month of September. Now, moving on to the next one, another very important tip and trick when trying to figure out, the best way to tackle the EPCOT Food and Wine Festival is, hey, which hotel should I stay at? Specifically, which hotel should I stay at if I'm trying to get the most convenient access to the parks possible, specifically if I'm trying to walk to EPCOT Food and Wine Festival. And so for this, we're going to go and take a look at the hotels on the Disney Boardwalk, because that is really connected to the back of EPCOT, and those will be the closest hotels to allow you to walk over to the park. So at the Disney Boardwalk, we do have the Disney's Boardwalk Inn, we have the Disney Yacht and Beach Club, and my personal favorites, and they're actually non-official Disney hotels. However, I love them, and I specifically love them because I find them to be a little bit more affordable than some of the other on-site Disney resorts. And we are going to have the Disney World Swan, the Disney World Dolphin, and the Disney World Swan Reserve. Another really important thing to keep in mind is you do have access to the Disney Skyliner on the back of EPCOT. So some of the other hotels that come to mind with easy access to EPCOT is going to be the Disney Riviera Resort, Disney's Caribbean Beach Resort, and Disney's Pop Century and Art of Animation Resort. So you do have plenty of options for trying to pick the best hotel, within a convenient walking distance or convenient travel time to EPCOT's Food and Wine Festival. All right, so moving on to the next tip and trick, and this one is such an important one. And speaking now of food and wine and all that good stuff, make sure that you are responsible and you plan ahead of time. Specifically, you plan to take a cab or you have a designated driver in your group. And just like it sounds, there are a lot of drinks going around at the EPCOT Food and Wine Festival, mostly adult-inspired drinks. So just be sure to keep that in mind, and of course, just have a safe and fun time at EPCOT. Okay, moving on to the next one, and this one kind of ties back into avoiding the crowds and really picking the best time to visit. The weekends tend to be the busiest days at the EPCOT Food and Wine Festival, specifically just because this is such a popular event for Florida locals. So of course, when everyone's off work on the weekends, they tend to love to go over to EPCOT, especially during this festival. So that means if weekends are going to be the busiest, weekdays tend to be the best days to visit. specifically Tuesday, Wednesday, or Thursday. Okay, on to the next one, and we do have budget accordingly. Now, of course, just like it sounds, over 30 food booths, and there's multiple items on each food booth. This means that, you could end up spending a decent amount of money. I personally, when I come here, I start budgeting like months in advance just because I know how much money I actually can spend, and I love to eat. So I really, really can spend. But of course, it's important to budget accordingly. And just to give you an idea of, the typical prices that you will see, you're going to be spending between $5 to $9 for the food dishes and between $4 to $10 for the drinks. Now, the other important thing for me to mention is that although entrance into the EPCOT Food and Wine Festival is included with your ticket to Walt Disney World, or your EPCOT ticket, that is, the food and beverage, options are not. So the numbers that I just gave you, $5 to $9 for food and $4 to $10 for drinks, that is what you will have to pay. Additionally, to try each item throughout the day. And of course, just like it sounds, that's why budgeting is so important. Now, another really, really cool tip, and one that I personally love to do, is you can grab a Disney gift card wristband at one of the stores when you get to EPCOT. So, just like it sounds, it's kind of like a Magic Band if you're a Disney vet and you're familiar with Magic Bands. Very similar to that, but, it's not as formal, I would say. You could buy it right when you get at the park. It's just a little Disney gift card that goes around your wrist, and this way you can... I personally do it for budgeting purposes because I can say, okay, hey, I'm putting this much on. Once I run out, that's it. I'm cut off. But for other convenience reasons, right, you don't have to continue taking out your wallet. You could pretty much just swipe your gift card throughout the day. Another really, really important thing for me to mention is from a convenience standpoint, Disney also does accept Apple Pay on your phone. So there's a couple different ways that you can kind of conveniently pay, but I think this one's really important from a budgeting standpoint. Okay, so another great tip and trick is, when you're in that store over at EPCOT, make sure you grab a passport book to keep track of everything you eat along the way. Now, these passport booklets are available for free throughout the park, and they also include all the food and beverage options at each booth. So they will allow you to stamp and track which booths you have visited, which food and drink items you have tried already, so you can stay on point and figure out, which items you want to go next. And kind of sticking with this, little topic for a little bit, another very, very important tip and trick, now that you have that passport booklet, or you'll really have the passport booklet, and you'll see how much is going on at this event. Another really important one would be to plan multiple visits. Now, I know this isn't possible for every single family or every single group. However, if you are planning in advance and you're trying to figure out, what is the best way to tackle, like I said, 30 food booths, and even the best of us who can really, eat and drink, it's too much for one day. It's almost, it is impossible for one day. You can't see everything in one day. I would say you can't even see everything in multiple days. But the best way to do it is really to plan at least 2 days at this event. And you could mix it up. A lot of times what me and my friends will do, and we'll talk about the special events going on during this time of year in a bit. But what me and my friends will do is we'll plan, 2 days. We'll maybe do one full day, and then we'll do another day in the morning, and then we'll do Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween Party at night, or we'll do Mickey's Very Merry Christmas Party at night, right? Just to kind of break it up a little bit so it's not 2 full days. But in my opinion, that is the best way to at least get the most out of it. Okay, next tip and trick. Don't forget that the food booths are spread out throughout World Showcase and Future World. So again, this is really, really important if you're planning in advance, just so you don't end up, planning one ride at the beginning of the park, then planning a food booth back all the way at the back end of the park in America. Just understand, where the food booths are. Understand that they are spread out throughout the entire park. So you do have to plan accordingly, because you can do a lot of walking from booth to booth, even if you do plan. So if you don't plan, you could really do, that much more walking. So just keep that in mind. All right, so moving on to the next tip and trick, and this one really is for families visiting EPCOT with young kids. Don't forget about the scavenger hunts going on throughout the park. This will keep the kids busy, and the kids really will love it. So first one we have is Remy's Ratatouille Hide and Squeak Scavenger Hunt. And so this one is available for purchase at the major shops. Now this is $6.99 plus tax. However, the kids will be able to match 15 stickers of Remy, and essentially it's like it's a hide and seek, or it's a scavenger hunt where the kids will be, as you're going throughout the different countries, the kids will be looking for Remy, and once they find them, they put a sticker on the map, and essentially at the end they will win a prize. Now another new one this year is going to be Pluto's Pumpkin Pursuit. So the special pumpkin scavenger hunt runs from September 29th through October 31st, so not the entire festival, But this one, again, the scavenger hunts are really, really popular. So I guess Disney's kind of taking advantage of that. But this one does look really cool. And we, of course, will keep everyone up to date as we learn more information on that. All right, and so this next one, I guess, could be a mix of adults and kids. So this is going to be Emily's Fromage Montage. I don't know if I said that correctly, but this family-friendly event invites guests to purchase any 5 cheese dishes from the Marketplace booths, and then once guests collect a stamp for each cheese dish, they will win a complimentary bite-sized cheesecake. Okay, so moving on to the next tip and trick, and we kind of just touched on this with the Pluto's Pumpkin Pursuit. However, also for the food booths, it's important to note that they are not all open at the beginning of the festival. Some of the food booths will open up later on in the festival. So again, keep that in mind. You'll be sure that you understand which booths are open and which ones are opening later, especially in case you're planning an entire trip around one of the booths. Okay, and then another really, really important tip and trick is don't skip the Eat to the Beat concert series. Now, I personally love this series. I personally love it just because I am a huge nostalgia geek, and they have so many cool artists that do come into Epcot's Food and Wine Festival to give essentially free concerts. It's included, with your park admission. So if you're in the park that day, you can go and you can check out some of these, really, really amazing artists. I'm not going to list every single one of them, but some of my favorites that come to mind, they're going to be Tiffany, Joey Fatone and Friends, 98 Degrees, Sugar Ray, Hanson, and can't forget Boys to Men. Another really, I guess, additional tip and trick regarding the Eat to the Beat concert series is, I just mentioned some pretty big artists, right? I would show up, extremely early if you are trying to get a seat and make sure you have a seat, within the little concert venue. I would say at least 45 minutes to an hour early just to, give yourself the best chance. All right, the next tip and trick on the list is going to be pack sanitary wipes. Now, you'll be eating a lot of food on the go and also with your hands, right? So having sanitary wipes is a great way to stay clean before and after eating, and taking it an additional step, be sure to pack the unscented hand wipes so that you're not overwhelmed by the sanitizer smell as you eat. So moving on to the next tip and trick, and this year's festival guide is completely digital. Now, you'll need your phone to find and scan QR codes around the festival and to download the My Disney Experience app for more helpful information. And the reason why this is so important is because if you're on your phone all day, this is surely going to deplete your phone battery. So make sure you bring portable chargers or you grab one at the parks. All right, so this next one is actually one of my favorites and one of the ones that we kind of really take advantage of when we go. And that would be go as early as possible or stay as late as possible. As you can imagine, most of the crowds are typically coming to the parks late morning, early afternoon, right? So what we have found is when you get to the parks as early as possible and you get those, first couple food booths out of the way as early as possible, and the booths do open up at 11 a.m., right? So you kind of want to be there, I would say, at 10:30 in the parks, getting ready to go eat and drink all your favorite stuff. And then this will allow you to take a break in the mid-afternoon, especially when the hot Florida sun is out. And then again, just like it sounds, most families, especially families with young kids, will go back to the hotels pretty early in the evening. So if you can stay a little bit later at night, you also will give yourself the best chance to get to all your favorite food booths with very, very little wait times. And another great tip and trick, and one of the things that we love to do, especially, maybe for those half days, is we'll actually skip dinner and we'll go to Epcot Food and Wine Festival, a little bit later at night, right before fireworks, and we'll just grab a couple, bites, hop around to a couple of different countries, and then, of course, we'll watch fireworks and we'll go back to our hotel. Okay, another great tip and trick would be to don't forget to share dishes when possible. So we do find that the Epcot Food and Wine Festival is a multi-day event, like we said, and if you're trying to taste and really eat as much as possible, sharing and splitting the dishes gives you the best chance. And then moving on to the next tip and trick, don't forget the tables are a hot commodity at the Food and Wine Festival. So a trash can might be your best friend, but essentially you'll see it's like really funny. Everyone's pretty much just like anything that you could eat on or put a dish down on, people are going to take advantage of it at this event. No one judges each other, and it's kind of the best thing ever. So don't forget to keep an eye out for those trash cans. Another really, really important tip and trick that we would say is to start on the Canada side. Now, this is controversy even when the Food and Wine Festival is not going on, right? Do you start in Canada? Do you start in Mexico? Most people start in Mexico, and if it's not a festival, I personally start in Mexico. However, because this is, Epcot Food and Wine Festival, we're saying to start in Canada because it will give you a slightly, easier time making your way through the land. Okay, and on to the next one. And again, we quickly touched on this, but it's important for me to really mention that Florida can be extremely hot for guests visiting in July, August, September, and even early October, right? So make sure that you're staying hydrated and you take advantage of the AC when you can. So many countries such as America and Canada have cultural films, which you can go watch and kind of just get out of that hot Florida heat. But also another really cool one, especially for the kids, is going to be the Beauty and the Beast sing-along in France. Okay, and so on to the next one, and we know everyone's probably hungry at this point, but we would say don't forget to take a look at the food menus before you go, and this will allow you, like we said, to pick out your favorite food items and drink items before you get there, and you can come up with a game plan, and just like we said earlier in the video, so you're not, walking from one side of the park all the way back to the front of the park. It will just allow your day to go that much smoother and allow everyone to have that much more fun. Okay, and so last but not least, we would say don't forget to try the best items. And in our personal opinion here at the Park Prodigy, these are going to be some of the must-do items that you have to grab to eat. Over at La Celliere, we have the wild mushroom beef filet mignon with truffle butter sauce. Over in Greece, we have the grilled cheese with pistachio and honey. In America, we have the New England lobster roll, lobster with herb mayonnaise on a griddled roll. And in Ireland, we have the warm chocolate pudding cake with Irish cream liqueur custard. And in Mexico, you can't forget the taco de ribeye. And so that is the list, everyone. Those are some of the best tips and tricks for visiting the EPCOT Food and Wine Festival. As you can see, there's a lot going on, and there's a lot going on to even just planning your days in the parks, right? But that's why we created this video, just to help you and get you as prepared as possible for your time at the EPCOT Food and Wine Festival. I really, really hope that you found this video helpful. And if you are in the process of planning a Disney World trip and you do need a little additional help, just be sure to go check out our website, theparkprodigy.com. But I think that's all the time we have for today. Thank you all again so much for checking out this video. And until next time, I will talk to you soon.